This is Ben McGahee with Yamie Chess. I'm going to be your math teacher today. Yamie Chess is the math learning aid based on classic chess that helps students in math and science education for school. In this lesson, we will learn about rounding numbers. Mostly we'll be rounding 2-digit and 3-digit numbers. The purpose of rounding is to help us estimate values and to be able to work these numbers in our head as sort of a mental math, and which makes the calculations a whole lot easier to work with. So here are some few rules that we want to do for rounding. But before we go over those rules, let's go over place digits for a number, either 2 or 3-digit number. So this digit to the far right is called the ones place. The digit in the middle is the tens place. And the digit to the far left is called the hundreds place. So the first rule that we want to talk about is we want to underline the digit in that place that we're rounding to. So, if we were rounding to the nearest 10, for example, we would underline this middle digit right here. So we would underline that digit, tens place. And then the next rule is that we look to the digit to the right. And so we look at the ones place. And this will help us determine how we're going to round the number in tens place. So if the digit is going to be 5 or more, the one in the ones place, then we round up. If the digit is 4 or less, then we keep the underlined digit the same. And then the digits to the right of the underlined digit become a 0. So those are the 5 basic rules for rounding. So let's look at the number 58. And let's say we want to round to the nearest 10. For 58. And so we look at the underlined digit in the tens place, which is our 5. So we're going to underline the 5. And we look at the digit to the right, which is an 8. And we notice that 8 is actually applies to rule number 3. Digit is 5 or more, we're going to round up. So this means that the 5 will actually get bumped up to a 6. And then we skip down to rule number 5. So the digits to the right of the underlined digit become a 0. So this 8 will become a 0. So it looks like the 58 rounded to the nearest 10 is 60. Now in our next example, we have a 3-digit number. We have 243. So we're going to round to nearest, let's say 100. Nearest 100. So we have our number 243. And so we find the hundreds place, that's in the 2, so we underline the 2. And then we look to the digit to the right of 2, that's going to be 4. And we notice that the digit being 4 or less, we're going to keep the 2 the same. And then the digits to the right of the 2 become 0. So 4 and the 3 become 0. And it looks like our rounded number of 243 to the nearest 100 is 200. Now, what if we wanted to do to, let's say, the nearest 10? So we take 243. We find the tens place. That's going to be the 4, tens place. So we underline the 4. And then we look to the digit to the right of 4, which is 3. And it still applies. The digit is 4 or less. So we keep the 4 the same. So that's going to be 2, 4. And then the digits to the right of 4 become 0. So 243 rounded to the nearest 10 becomes 240. Okay, so here are some problems you can try on your own. We have 3 problems, and so I'll read them out loud. We have round 34 to the nearest 10, round 659 to the nearest 100, and round 982 to the nearest 10. So I'll give you some time to work on these. Feel free to pause the video and rewind if you need to review your rules for rounding. And then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so let's go over the answers. So the first problem asks us to round 34 to the nearest 10. So we have 3, 4. And the 10 spot is the 3, so we underline the 3. And we look at digit to the right, which is 4. Looks like it's a 4 or less. So we're going to keep the 3 the same. And then the 4 becomes a 0. So 34 rounded to the nearest 10 is 30. Okay. Now how about 659 to the nearest 100? So we're round to the nearest 100. So we'll write down 659. We find the hundreds place. That's going to be our 6. So we underline the 6. And we notice the digit to the right is 5 or more with a 5. So the 6 will become 7. And then the 5 and 9 become zeros. So 659 rounded to the nearest 100 is 700. And last but not least, we're going to round 982 to the nearest 10. So we have 982. Look at 10 spot, that's going to be our 8. And we look to the right of 8, that's 2. So that's 4 or less. So we keep the underline digit the same, so that's still an 8. So we have 9, 8, and then the 2 becomes a 0. So 982 rounded to the nearest 10 is 980. And let's check our answer key. 30, 700, 980. So if you got these answers right, very good job. And you understand how to round numbers to the nearest 10 and nearest 100. This is Ben McGahee, and I want to thank you for watching this video lesson on rounding numbers. Please stay tuned for more lessons on YamieChess.com. Have a great day.